Hello and welcome to Chapter 2. We're going to start this course by looking at what the JVM actually does when it runs the code that we have written. You're hopefully aware that the code that we write in Java is compiled by the Java compiler into bytecode. These are the .class files that we create, maybe packaged together into a jar or a WAR file. When we run our application using the Java command, the bytecode is then run by the Java Virtual Machine, or JVM. We often think of this as the JVM, or the virtual machine, is interpreting the bytecode. This structure, compiling our raw Java code into bytecode and then the bytecode being interpreted at runtime, is how Java achieves one of its benefits. Well, certainly at the time that Java was first created, this was an important feature, which is that we can write code once and run it with consistent results on any hardware that has a Java virtual machine. So the same Java code can be run on a Mac, Windows, Linux, or any other operating system for which a JVM exists, and that's because our Java code is going to be compiled into bytecode, and the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, is able to interpret this bytecode. But the Java Virtual Machine, however, is not simply interpreting bytecode. It contains a number of features and complex algorithms to make it more efficient than a traditional code interpreter would be. If you are writing code in a language such as PHP, which is not compiled but is interpreted at runtime using an interpreter such as the Apache web server, well, each line of PHP code is only looked at, analysed, and the way to execute it determined as it is needed. Within the Java Virtual Machine, it's a much more complicated process. So the Java Virtual Machine then is not being asked to run Java code, but rather Java bytecode. And in fact, any language which can be compiled to JVM compatible bytecode can be run on the Java Virtual Machine. And so as a result, pretty much everything we're going to talk about in this course will apply not just to Java, but to Scala, Kotlin, Groovy, Clojure, in fact, any other JVM language. In fact, at the end of this course, in the final chapter, we're going to look at some real bytecode, and we'll compare bytecode produced by Java with bytecode produced by another JVM language. But that's a long way off, and right now we're going to focus on what happens when we ask the JVM to actually run some bytecode.